the Sustainability Management Master's Program, you are answering one simple question. Do you care about your future generation? If you care about your kids, their grandkids, then you care about sustainability. And a sustainability manager is someone who has the tools to make people understand how they can contribute towards developing a sustainable world. We have both part-time and full-time students. Our curriculum is 30 hours. Instead of thesis, we have a research project course and a seminar course which provides them with the kind of research background they will need to be successful in their job. But at the same time, sustainability is not always everything about environment. It also relates to the business. They will take a sustainable business strategies course. They will take a project management course. Most of these courses are going to be taught by industry people, the people who are doing sustainability on a daily basis as a part of their job. Any organization that has a large number of employees and has a physical infrastructure, they will have to have a sustainability office. If you have the passion to develop and maintain a sustainable world, come to us and we will help you shape your passion into a career which will create an impact.
The Stevens Institute of Technology is proud to present the Hugo New Corporation Sustainability Seminar Series, brought to you by Brown & Caldwell, Geocetic Consultants, H2M Architect and Engineers, BEM Systems, and Catalyst Group.
Firstly, thank you, Dr. Sarkar. Thank you, Samir, for organizing this wonderful seminar. My name is Usha Rao. I'm the VP of Advocacy and Strategic Partnerships for the UNAUSA North Jersey chapter, and I support the United Nations 2030 agenda along with my chapter and my team. So firstly, let me start off by thanking Stevens for allowing us an opportunity to speak at the Hugo New Corporation Sustainability Seminar Series. It truly is an honor to be here, and especially with graduate students and graduate students pursuing sustainability studies nonetheless. Clearly you care, you recognize the tremendous challenges in the areas of sustainability, poverty, climate crisis, gender and racial inequality, clean water, just to name a few. And all of these are huge challenges, and they have a direct impact on the quality of life of all citizens, both globally as well as at the local level. The lives of your community and your personal lives are at stake. The challenges we face are enormous and encompass areas of critical importance to humanity. They're daunting, but they're addressable. And these are addressable by people who care, for a livable planet, people like you. By acquiring the knowledge and skills through your program, you will be equipped to come up with solutions to resolve the major sustainability challenges we face. And those solutions in turn will help improve all our lives. So you will leave certainly an impact on the planet and make it in a more livable state, both for your generation as well as future generations to come. Little bit about myself. I grew up in India, in Bangalore, and I came to this country to pursue my graduate studies. My father worked with the UN for several years in Vietnam. And so, the UN culture and the UN tradition is very much in my blood. And this is something that I would like to continue. And, hopefully at some point, my children also take on the challenge. And as you can tell from my bio, I worked in corporate America for over 25 years and retired a few years ago. Luckily, I am in a position where I have both the time, passion, and the skills to give back to the community. And I was looking for opportunities where I could make a difference and where I could make an impact. And, luckily, I was able to volunteer, and I am able to volunteer with UNAUSA, the Northern New Jersey chapter, which very much shares the UN agenda as well as everything that I'm interested in contributing to. So today, I'm really excited to share our vision and strategy on the local implementation of the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals through a signature program of our chapter called Vision New Jersey 2030. I share your common vision where we turn theory to implementation. Come partner with us on this journey. It is our moral obligation to do so. We have quite a packed agenda for today. I'll start, and this whole idea of Vision New Jersey 2030, it didn't happen overnight. We've been thinking about it for well over a year, and we were thinking of a way to make a direct impact on the community, to have a direct impact on the community. We wanted to move from theory to implementation, and so localizing the sustainable development goals was something that really interested us. It's challenging. It's going to have a great impact on the community, on the state of New Jersey, and hopefully we move the needle because this is such a big challenge. Today we'll talk about the chapter UNAUSA and our chapter in particular. We'll go over the United Nations 2030 Agenda, Vision New Jersey 2030, why partnerships are so important to meet the goals, the partner readiness for SDG localization, and localization more what the process is and how it could be a phased approach. We'll conclude with Q&A, and just if you don't mind, please hold off the questions to the end of the presentation. Hopefully we'd have answered many of the questions you have, but we're open to taking questions at the end. About United Nations Association of the United States of America, UNAUSA. It's a grassroots movement of Americans committed to achieving the goals set by the 193 United Nations member states. The organization truly believes that the interest and the values of the United States can best be advanced by working alongside the United Nations, because the United Nations is truly a universal organization that that impacts the entire world. So any change, any global impacts are certainly felt everywhere. For example, COVID is probably the best example. It started in a different country, and now the entire world is afflicted by it. And having the UN can coordinate a response is like absolutely essential. There are 193 United Nations member states, and the UNAUSA is also a member of the World Federation of UNAs. It is the largest network of advocates of the United Nations in the world. We have over 20,000 members, over 200 chapters in the United States. And the organization, tackles a lot of big movements that are happening in the US. Black Lives Matter, advocacy for the World Health Organization, because the previous administration had cut off ties, and they're re-engaging with the WHO, re-engaging on the Paris Accord, COVID. There are just so many huge issues that it's going to take a body like the UN to bring everyone together. We have, the Global Engagement Summit that is organized by UNAUSA. Just a little plug for it on February 19th and 20th. And, you're going to have wonderful speakers. The current Secretary General as well as the past Secretary General will be speakers. And also, it would be, I think, a great opportunity to attend. UNAUSA is the umbrella organization for various UNAUSA chapters, and our chapter in New Jersey, Northern New Jersey, is the one that I'm involved with, and Vision New Jersey is an initiative of the UNAUSA Northern New Jersey chapter. We cover 8 counties in New Jersey: Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Morris, Passaic, Sussex, Union, and Warren. We support the goals of the United Nations 2030 Sustainability Agenda at the local level. We form and support partnerships to implement the UN SDGs. We've partnered with our sister chapters in the advocacy efforts through in-district meetings with city and state elected officials. Last year during the spring recess, we held virtual in-district meetings with our congressional representatives to advocate for restoring funding for the WHO. We host events that further the UN SDG goals. And on UN Day, on the UN Day event last year, of the 3 chapters in New Jersey came together to host an event on the global pursuit to advance human rights and discuss how COVID-19 has threatened such efforts and why global leadership in the advancement of human rights is so important. And the other major initiative of the chapter is what we're going to focus on today is Vision New Jersey 2030. The UN agenda, many of you are in the sustainable studies program, so this is just added information or something you're already familiar with, but it can't overstate how important it is. It is the UN agenda is ambitious, it's transformational, it's a global sustainability agenda critical to improving the lives of all individuals on this planet by 2030. In 2015, the heads of state and government of 169 countries, 162 countries and 193 member states came together and decided to adopt the 17 global goals that were formulated, but the United Nations decided to adopt those 17 goals. All those goals, they cover what are called the 5 Ps, people, like ending poverty and hunger, planet, protecting the planet, that is climate action, consumption, prosperity, economic, social, and technological, peace, having inclusive societies and no fear of violence, and nothing can be achieved without partnerships. So partnerships are just extremely central to our agenda. We have 193 member states, 162 countries that have adopted the agenda, 17 sustainable goals, and each of those goals have targets associated with it, and the metrics to measure the targets are called indicators. So there are 232 indicators. The UN is calling on all institutions, global, regional, and local, to play a big role in implementing the agenda. It's a bottoms-up approach. The idea is that anything that we can work on to implement the agenda at the local level will then roll up to a regional level and roll up to a global level, thus allowing us to measure at the global level how much of the 2030 agenda is actually going to be accomplished. Vision New Jersey 2030, our mission. Firstly, it's a strategic initiative of our chapter. Our mission is to heed the call of the United Nations and onboard local sustainable communities to join us in partnership in implementing the Sustainable Development Goals. So our mission statement is simple. We know what we want to do. Implementation is complex. It is going to require localization. It's going to require, by localization, it means taking the United Nations global goals and associating local context to those goals so we can actually implement them at the local level. It's going to involve partnerships, and it could involve a voluntary review. Voluntary review, it could be a voluntary local review, it could be a voluntary university review, where you go through a process of understanding what your current state is and how you're making progress, how you're measuring progress, and how you're reporting progress. So we talked about partnerships. It's so central to what we're doing. Vision New Jersey 2030, we champion localized efforts with partners. Our partners could be cities, schools, organizations in Northern New Jersey that support the Sustainable Development Goals. As you can see, there are 17 of them. You've seen them probably many times, but always nice to have a picture there. We're calling on our partners, right? I mean, there's a lot of sustainability efforts going on in a lot of cities, in universities. And what we're calling on our partners to do is now take your current sustainability initiatives, adopt the SDG framework to it, and customize your SDGs to suit the local context, report the progress. And we want to provide students at universities, at county colleges, and academia, the opportunity to contribute directly to the New Jersey community, to partner with us in doing so. You could author white papers, capstone projects, your thesis topics, term papers, and with a large enough group, you could certainly work with the city or work within your university to generate a voluntary report, either a local review or a university review. It's important that the SDG framework be adopted because it is a global framework. So you are part of something big and you speak the same vocabulary. So when you are talking to your peers about sustainability, you're sharing the same common language. And by customizing your local goals, you're defining, what it is that you're introducing your local context, right? Because it could be different based on where you are compared to the global goals. The global goals provide you with a certain view, but unless you inject the local context to it, it may not be that meaningful. So continuing on the localization process, firstly, I did mention this earlier, that our local partners are cities, universities, businesses, and NGOs. We want to answer two key questions: why you should adopt the SDGs, and how do you localize the SDGs? And our partner is going to benefit from leveraging, working with us, so our partner could leverage our unique position as advocates of the United Nations. We could take your existing strategy, sustainable strategy, and we could apply an SDG framework to it, and you could socialize it beyond the institution. So you would be a tremendous influence on the community, and you can certainly widen your presence and become experts in that field. And then we talked about the voluntary review report. It becomes a blueprint for sustained implementation of the plan. So every year you could go look at it and say, how did I do in the subsequent year compared to the previous year? And hopefully you want to see progress. So it just becomes a document that is produced year to year to showcase the progress a given city or partner has made within the previous year. So there's a framework called the Shimokawa method that has a 10-step process for a voluntary local review. Ours is kind of based on it, but it's we combined a few things that are more applicable to this context. And it starts off by raising SDG awareness. So not everyone is SDG aware. We want to start that process of raising the awareness. We want to establish partnerships. We want to be able to assess your current state. We want you to adopt the SDG framework. We want you to update your plans with the SDG framework, measure your progress, and submit a voluntary report. Not every tile here needs to be addressed. It depends on where a given organization is within this framework, and what the kind of work that needs to be done, and we will work with anybody in any one of these processes. So New Jersey, of course, is a large state with a dense population. Our focus is on 8 northern New Jersey counties, and what the numbers here are focused on the 8 counties, and this is sort of the universe that we could reach out to at scale. We are right now a pilot program, so obviously we're not going to reach out to everyone at this time, but that is our ultimate goal. There are 200 plus cities and towns. We have a population of almost 4 million. We have 2 cities with sustainable offices, Hoboken and Jersey City. We have 71 cities that are sustainable, that have been certified by Sustainable New Jersey. 91 have been enrolled. And as far as colleges and universities go, our target is 37 accredited colleges and universities, of which 7, including Stevens, offers sustainable development degree programs. 3 of these colleges have UNAUSA chapters. 2 of these universities, including Stevens, are STAR certified, and 8 are STARS enrolled. So pretty impressive for Stevens, pretty impressive for the city of Hoboken. Now, when we want to establish and work with a partner, we have to understand where they are in the 3 different stages of, where they are in their sustainability journey, right? So we group these cities by what states they're in based on certain criteria. So do they have a sustainability office, or do they offer a sustainability studies program? And a city in an early stage or a university may not have such an office or a program. They may have few sustainability initiatives. They may not be, they will not be certified by Sustainable New Jersey or LEEDs or STARS or any of the other certifying organizations. And there is no city right now in New Jersey that has done a voluntary local review, or a university that's done a voluntary university review. So if a given city or a university kind of meets, is in this falls under this criteria, we would say they're in an early stage. We'll still work with them, right? It's just that maybe we have to work with them on certain aspects that are not necessary when we work, let's say, with the advanced partner, uh, where there is a sustainability office. There are sustainability degree programs, several sustainability initiatives. They're certified, and they right now don't have a local review. So we examine. This is before we speak to our partners. We just try to figure out where they are in this journey. Nothing is out of question for us. And our partners, in all these cases, even if they're advanced, they may have a lot of sustainability initiatives, but they're not necessarily SDG aware. So that's something we'd like to do. I'll go through the localization process at a high level. Okay, that Vision New Jersey, our first step is to raise awareness. We're advocating for SDG localization. And we would do this through seminars, webinars, podcasts, social media, white papers, blogs, newspapers, newsletters. And we recognize, we will recognize New Jersey institutions for their sustainability contributions through an SDG Awards program. It is our first step in localization, and it communicates the importance of using standard vocabulary to achieve the sustainability goals. It also helps with coming up with policy decisions and connects the local priorities with the global agenda and provides an understanding and importance of the VLR process. So this would all be part of raising SDG awareness. Then we talked a lot about partnerships, and Vision New Jersey as a partner can facilitate the process for localizing the SDGs to strengthen the local community. And our partner could leverage our competencies and unique position as advocates of the United Nations to assist in every step of the localization process. We can't do it without partners. We advocate for the adoption of the SDG framework. We will hold periodic reviews with the stakeholders, guide our partners through the voluntary review process, and use the Vision New Jersey website to promote the work of our partners and upload SDG reports. We want to be able to leverage resources from academic institutions to conduct research and perform capstone projects. And once we establish partnerships, right, we can help you assess your current state by looking at your existing plans. And this is an example that we have here for the city of Hoboken and Stevens, looking at publicly available data. We see that the city of Hoboken goals are to tackle coastal and rainfall flooding, have clean drinking water. They're certainly interested in renewable energy, clean energy for all, transportation, design, use of natural resources and waste management. We find Stevens too, again, with publicly available data, focused on energy efficiency, recycling, water conservation, transportation, food and dining, purchasing, diversity and inclusion, and of course, quality education. So this could, this is based on publicly available data. For example, Hoboken, the city of Hoboken has, several plans, they have their master plan available that covers, climate action plans, resilient building design, Hudson River feasibility, etc. We will help you assess the goals, targets, and metrics. For example, again, City of Hoboken has, in one of their master plans, the climate plan, has, one of their goals is net zero energy. Okay, where they want to be able to meet the net zero by 2030, and it has certain targets and metrics that come with it, and will help you benchmark data as well, against similar cities or nationally. Please treat these as examples only. And then Vision New Jersey 2030, our team will assist our partners in aligning their local agenda to the SDG framework and customizing the SDG targets and indicators to account for the local context. So we took what we had in the previous slide and we just mapped it to the SDG framework for the City of Hoboken and for Stevens. And, it maps very well, right? Your clean water is SDG 6, for example. Energy, maps to SDG 7, and so on. So here's a little more detail on each of the sustainable goals outlined in the City of Hoboken's website and mapped to the UN SDGs. We have a similar example for Stevens. See, Stevens is very much focused on recycling, responsible consumption, and production. It shows up in a lot of the initiatives and goals. Yeah, quality education obviously is one of them. In our localization process, we are, we can work with you to update your plans. So we use the Hoboken master plan as our example for net zero energy and for being carbon neutral. When you do that, when you align your UN SDGs goals, targets, and indicators, you customize it, you can identify the gaps. And that is a huge part of what we can help you do. And by identifying gaps, you can come up with new policy initiatives, or you can come up with programs to close the gaps if necessary. Again, the City of Hoboken, I talked about wanting to be net zero by 2030 and have the municipal government operations be net zero by 2025. And so starting in 2019, the city started purchasing 100% of their energy from renewable, 100% of their energy was renewable electricity. And they want to be carbon neutral by 2050. And the municipal operations would be carbon neutral by 2035. So Hoboken's a really good example of, city that embraces sustainability. So once you adopt the SDG framework, right, you can't, unless you're able to measure local progress, it's difficult to say how you're doing. So we are advocating the use of a standard methodology for measuring SDG progress. So if you look on your left, you see this dashboard. This is something that the Sustainable Development Report does for countries. We want to be able to create a similar dashboard, similar index for cities within New Jersey. So this SDG index here, an index is basically an overall score from 0 to 100 to measure a city or a university's progress, in our case, towards achieving the 17 SDGs. what you're seeing here is really a country SDG index where, as an example, Sweden has a score of 85 and is ranked number 1. And that means it's about 85% of the way towards achieving its goals. The US is ranked, has a score of 76 and ranks number 31. So we want to create city-based or university-based indices. This is really key, and it's a very central part of what we want to do as Vision New Jersey 2030. And once we create those indices for all the SDGs, we can then start comparing how are cities doing. So this comparison on the left are countries. So you could have a similar dashboard for cities saying how is, let's say, Hoboken doing compared to Newark or compared to Jersey City. So if we can start coming up with a New Jersey specific index, that would be just really awesome. And then we can, create reports, publish it on Vision New Jersey's website using partner provided data. So if, a partner cannot create these reports, create these indices, we could certainly take that data in the format that's given to us and be able to create these dashboards, levels, and trends. So what you see here is where you see an index, but you also see whether this is like a traffic light chart, right? Whether if it's green, you're achieving your goal, and if it's red, you have major challenges ahead of you. And likewise, the arrow indicators, should indicate whether you're meeting your goal if it's green and pointed in the upper direction, or if you're going down and need to start implementing programs so you're on par. So although the US rank is the overall score is 76, rank is number 31, you'll see at the bottom that there are no greens. There's lots of significant challenges and major challenges, but some of them are trending in the right direction. Some of them are stagnating, and some of them are headed in the downward direction. So these are like major challenges, and if we could create something for the Vision New Jersey dashboard, we could identify where the challenges are, where the gaps are, and we could start implementing the correct policies. And then the last step, it's not really the last step, right? Because this is ongoing. Every year you generate a voluntary report, and the voluntary local review showcases, it's a document, right? It showcases the city's progress towards achieving the SDGs. And both New York and Los Angeles were able to showcase their work. Any city that produces a VLR has been able to submit it to the submit the report and present at the high-level political forum that the UN hosts every year. So we can see there's like 208 local governments that signed the declaration. That means they are committed to a voluntary local review. 37 have published internationally. 2 have been submitted by US cities, New York and LA. And 3 are in progress, Orlando and Pittsburgh, as well as the state of Hawaii. The voluntary university review is kind of similar, right? Except it's showcasing a university's progress to achieving the SDGs to a global audience. And right now, only one university, that's Carnegie Mellon, has submitted a voluntary university review. And there's one other university in Canada, University of Waterloo, has their VUR in progress. So we're encouraging other universities to use this as an example and to create their own VURs. Our team, Vision New Jersey, will educate our partner cities, our partner universities on the process. We will provide opportunities through public forums like UN Day or town halls, or even it could be at the HLPF, to share your successes, to share your challenges, your lessons learned, either with a local audience or a global audience. And we want to amplify the learnings from the VUR process, and onboard other supporters. So we would like to meet with our governor, we would like to meet with the mayors, and showcase what a city has done, showcase what a university has done, and amplify your message, and use your example as a role model city or a role model university for others to follow. So it is like a VUR is really important because it engages the academic community, right, across the campus. And it's a kind of deliberate process. It's systematic. It identifies, gaps. It helps you implement policy. And that's exactly what CMU did. They identified their priorities and their areas for focus. They also used, artificial intelligence, data gathering, using sophisticated instruments to uh, to understand, what their SDG priorities were and where they were lacking, and where they could put in, those were their gaps and where they could do better. So you could use a lot of good technology, which, universities, research centers are the ideal breeding ground for that. So it could be challenging for your students to take on such projects, apply the skills that they learn towards coming up with a framework for SDG adoption and measurement. Here are just two case studies at a high level on a voluntary local review in New York City. Started in 2015, where they wanted to link local strategies to global SDGs. And 2018, they announced the creation of a VLR and submitted their first VLR at the UN High-Level Political Forum. And the subsequent year, they did the same, right? That was the 2019 VLR. And their priority goals were SDGs 4, 8, 10, 13, 16, and 17. And then they've committed every year since to publish an annual VLR. And they're tracking their indicators. They have over 1,000 indicators that they're tracking. Carnegie Mellon started, in 2019, very impressive that they were able to publish their first VUR in 2020. And, you could with their survey that they did with their students, their analysis showed that there was very low SDG awareness, low coordination between faculty on SDGs, and most of their courses focused on SDGs 4, 9, and 11, which are like no power, which are like which were quality education, industry and technology, and sustainable cities, whereas there was not enough focus on SDGs 1, 2, and 6, that is no poverty, zero hunger, and clean water. So there are some gaps because universities can do a lot of research, come up with a lot of solutions to address these major problems, and ongoing, still tracking indicators. So hopefully you now have a good high level understanding of what it takes to localize SDGs and adopt the SDG framework, and how New Jersey can be your partner in this journey. So as our next steps, this is a pilot program, right? We are looking for Vision New Jersey 2030 to onboard partners interested in accelerating the localization of the UN SDGs. If you're like us and would like to leave a legacy of a sustainable planet for the next generation, consider partnering with us, be a part of the global community, and you can certainly contact us to hear more. Uh, I can be reached at advocacy@unausannj.org. Any other, chapter specific information on UNAUSA, the Northern New Jersey chapter. If you want to know more about what we do as a chapter, the activities you could be involved with, you could go to our website at unausannj.org.